something.
Yeah.
We like to do. We've got Joe to do that. The ones where we've got more than one beer from a brewery, and also people are doubling up.
Yeah.
So I mentioned the Dre Fontaine, you say, which is shared by Joe, Claire, and Pete. Alaskan smoked porter, Roger. John's is going to have to narrow his list down from 44 to 31 anyway.
Well, I have tasted it many times.
Is that one you'd really prefer to do?
My favourite beer in this country, so difficult, so many breweries now. But I think Timothy Taylor Landlord takes a lot of beating from Yorkshire. Lovely, lovely beer.
Allagash White is one that Johnny was fairly insistent on.
Yes. I'll take that on board.
So we now have Claire doing Augustiner Hell. Iyengar Celebrator.
That's actually one of those kind of early craft beer experiences for me, or early sort of beer awakening moments. So I feel sentimental about that one. My name is Claire Bullen. I'm a beer writer. I'm the editor of Good Beer Hunting. I've also written a cookbook called The Beer Lover's Table. So actually right before the pandemic, I was back in the States. It was just after Christmas. I went on a little road trip with my brother. We drove from Philadelphia up to Vermont and Maine. And we finished this road trip at Allagash in Portland, Maine. And they're one of those kind of bucket list breweries that you really want to visit. And I had a glass of Allagash White just, right in their tap room, fresh as can be, and it was absolutely sublime. And we're driving through like blizzards. There's like bears crossing the road. It felt really wild and really exciting. So that was probably the best one that I can recall.
This is very easy, isn't it? It's picking a fight. Now, the first issue really is Burning Sky.
I can forfeit the Saison Anniversaire if that makes things easier.
Probably prefer that if Johnny did the Petit Saison and then Emma did one of the other three, just one of them. Next one is one shared by Roger and Claire, which is Chouffe Houblon.
If you'd like to do that one, Roger, I think you should have that.
Cloudwater DIPA, I think. And actually, we've got a West Coast IPA which Emma has chosen, so she could do that one.
My name's Lottie Peplow. I'm the American Craft Beer Ambassador for the Brewers Association. It's a trade body based in America, representing the small and independent American craft brewer. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very excited to be involved in the new book because I've never actually been a published book author before. I do a lot of writing for magazines and online websites, newspapers, that sort of thing, but not actually a book. So this is a first for me, and I'm super excited.
Next one is the one we're all drinking. How do you feel about that?
I don't mind her doing that one.
Memorable beer experience?
Wow, there have been quite a few, let me tell you that. But there's one that sticks in my memory more than others, I would say. It's the first time I went across to America to the Great American Beer Festival, which is in Denver, in Colorado, a few years ago. It was mind-blowing. I have never seen so many beers in one place in my life. 5 miles of beer line. So if you walked up and down this convention centre in Denver, it was about 4 footballs worth in size, the size of 4 football pitches. And you walk up and down the lines and there are 5 miles of beers, about 4,000 beers. It was insane, absolutely insane, and unbelievable atmosphere, and people walking around in fancy dress and these pretzel necklaces, and they drink a beer and they take a pretzel and tasted some of the most unbelievable beers of my life. So that does stick in my memory as something that was quite special. And funnily enough, the Great American Beer Festival was actually based on the Great British Beer Festival because back in the day, I'm going back like over 40 years now, a guy called Charlie Papazian, who was the past president of the Brewers Association in America, and the late, great Michael Jackson visited the Great British Beer Festival, and they thought, wow, this is amazing. We want to do this in America. And so together they shared this vision and hatched a plan for a similar sort of thing in America. And set about 40 years ago in 1982, set up the first Great American Beer Festival, which was totally modelled on the Great British Beer Festival. So there you go.
Be a steady rolling man.
3 of us had an email thread about that, hadn't we? I'm trying to pull that up now. I said the ones that are closest to my heart are Steady Rolling Man, Donzoka Big Foam, Lost and Ground and Keller Pills, and Pilsner Urquell. And Johnny said, I'm very happy for you to have those beers you requested, which would leave me with Fuller ZSB, Fine Ales Jarl, Harvey's Best, Marble Pint, and Unatitsky Pivo 10.
Hi there, my name's Gabe Cook, and I'm the ciderologist. I'm an award-winning global cider expert. I've had many memorable cider experiences over the years, but I think the most significant was probably one of the earliest, which was a visit to the Ross and Wye Cider and Perry Company. My brother and I had driven down there. He was driving, I was very much not driving. And we went down these little lanes. It was like Middle Earth. Frodo was going to be running over the road, and we pulled up to this farmhouse, went underneath this house in a cellar, and it was just beautiful. It opened up like a scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the cider maker poured me a glass of this beautiful cider straight out the barrel, and he said, there you go, that's a traditional dry cider. And I can't remember the exact taste, but the sensation I can remember vividly, which was just that my mouth was alive. It was so big and bold and fun and tasty. I'd never tasted anything like it, and I knew that I wanted to continue drinking it and being involved with it for the rest of my life.
Now, the DuPont is one that Joe had said that he would really like to do. That was the one that most people chose, actually.
Yeah, it's just one of the best beers in the world. If you don't like it, go home, basically.
We have Duvel Triple Hop.
No, I didn't pick the triple hop, I picked the base Duvel, which is a different beer.
Right, okay,
So that would give us 2 beers from Duvel.
great.
With Roger
And then
Duvel.
you can do the triple hop.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
My name's Pete Brown. I'm a writer specialising mainly in really fun things such as beer, pubs, music, fish and chips, all the good stuff. Not necessarily my best beer experience, but certainly the one that comes to mind first is a beer bath in the Czech Republic with my fellow beer writers Tim Hampson and Adrian Tierney-Jones, where there were 3 of us in these tin baths filled with beer and a mixture of herbs, all next to each other, with matronly women in white coats coming round and pouring more beer into it. We didn't drink the beer in the bath, but we did have a tap of beer by the side of the bath that we could kind of drink non-bath beer with as well. We're in there.
5 points best.
If Emma needs more, then she can totally have that one.
Okay. Johnny's got 5 points, Railway Porter. So that'll be 2 from 5 points.
I can forfeit both, actually, if that helps, 'cause I think I might have quite a few now.
Okay.
Which is, Emma's got Golden Pride and London Porter. I think you've got Vintage Ale. Or do we think that's overkill, having 3 fullers?
Yeah, sure. I'm Des Moore. I'm a beer writer. I'm an accredited beer sommelier. I do a lot of tutor tastings, tours, and I'm also the author of a camera book called London's Best Beer Pubs and Bars, which has just been published in its 3rd edition, a long-awaited, long-delayed 3rd edition, but it is here. So I guess London beers is one of my areas of expertise. So.
Fantastic. And can you tell us about one of your most memorable beer experiences?
Actually, if I'm going to talk seriously about my most memorable beer experience, it's going to take us out of London and over to Belgium. Just before the lockdowns, my last trip was over to interview Frank Boon at the Boon Lambic Brewery in Belgium, just outside Brussels. And I spent a day with Frank, who, if people know him, know that he is one of the people who saved Lambic, the historic style. It was an absolutely wonderful afternoon. We spent a lot of time in the barrel cellars at Boon, where there's lots of lambic maturing. It's matured in big wooden vessels for anything up to 3 years, and he's got the biggest collection there of maturing lambic in the world, over 1 million hectolitres, I think, are absolutely massive halls of wooden casks. And we spent the afternoon with him, even though he's, a little bit kind of getting on a little bit now and not quite so fleet on his feet. He was up and down ladders, draining beer directly out of these vessels, and we were sharing them, and he was sharing some of his favourites. He knows all the vessels, he knows his favourites. It was just the most astonishing beer day I've ever spent in my entire life. So that is probably honestly my most wonderful beer experience that I've had as a beer writer.
Sounds absolutely fantastic. Right, this one's a quick one. Okay, I'm going to give you a cask, bottle or can.
It depends on the beer, it depends on the occasion. Cask is something really, really special. You can do things with cask beer that you can't do in any other format. You can get a slightly lower carbonation, you can get a slightly higher serving temperature. If you've got a very, very subtle, sessionable beer that's got like relatively complex but quite restrained flavour, cask can really, really bring that out. So cask is incredibly important in the history of beer, and it's still really, really relevant as a format. It's actually a very, very difficult format to do and to do well, but it is well worth doing well, and I really, really want cask to flourish. Really, really important. But that's not to say that other formats aren't good too. Bottle conditioning has a very, very, very long history. You're talking about those Lambic beers earlier on, that Addercloser and so on. That's a bottle conditioned format, and absolutely wonderful for that. And can has come along in recent years and totally overturned people's expectations. I'm perfectly fine with beer in can. Cans don't take the taste; they can be can conditioned. It's so it's a matter of the beer style, what kind of level of carbonation you want, what the flavour profile of the beer is, really. I think the amazing thing about beer is it's such a broad church. There's such a really, really wide range of flavours. Unfortunately, most people in the world probably see, overall, see beer through a fairly narrow window, because most of the big commercial, big selling beers have a fairly limited flavour spectrum. But once you look beyond that, it's like CinemaScope opening up. It's like it's a wonderful world of a whole diversity of flavours, and there are all sorts of different ways to reflect that and celebrate that. So I'm sorry, that sounds like a little bit of a ducking out answer, but it's the best one I can give.
Fantastic, thanks, Des.
Johnny really wanted to do Goose Island Bourbon County Stout.
I'm quite keen to do that one.
You are?
Yeah.
And then we have Harvey's Imperial Russian Stout.
If you're drinking a cider, what does cider go best with?
What does cider go best with? That's a good question. Classically from a food point of view, cheese is an amazing match. Nothing quite like something from the same terroir. So one of those big, earthy, rich, West Country, Somerset tannic ciders with that wonderful sort of cheddar or those kinds of things. But actually with all sorts of different foodstuffs, you can approach cider and food matching in the exact same way that you would with other drinks. And actually, one of my favourites is a really lovely, light, aromatic, acid-driven cider with some wonderful Thai or Vietnamese food. Perfect match.
Claire and Emma on Bière de Saison. We've got Johnny and Emma on table beer. We've got Emma and Pete on Imperial Brown Stout. And we've got Emma on Export India Porter. So, would you be okay for Emma to do Bière de Saison, Claire?
It's the big triple one that they do.
Is that Apophenia?
Apophenia. Apophenia. It's probably close enough.
Good. What kind of beer is that?
It's a Belgian style triple, and it's the only decent one I've tasted that's not brewed by a Belgian brewer.
Skip to a little. I think we'll stick with Dale's Pale Ale, because that was the first craft beer in a can back in 2000, so it was quite groundbreaking of its day. So definitely ditch 1E. That's not good enough. And 1050 is a good beer, but I think Dale's Pale Ale tells more of a story. So
Yeah.
I think we'll vote to keep that one in. I've ditched the other two already. There are so many different beer styles. You've got to pick your beer style and then pick your food. But there's some are more versatile than others. I would say some of my favourites to match with food are brown ales, porters, stouts, and then IPAs. So something like a brown ale might not be a very sexy style, but there's some banging brown ales out there, and there's one particularly fantastic one in the book, and that goes with meaty casseroles or stews, or it goes with desserts or chocolate gâteaux or tiramisu, or it goes with cheese. And pretty much the same can be said of porters. And then when you've got your IPAs, you'd be surprised how much IPA goes with. They are such punchy beers. But always remember, you match intensity with intensity. So don't put some hefty, great barrel-aged imperial stout with a salad, for example. You won't be doing it any favours. So you've got to put that with a Rockford or a strong cheese or something very, very punchy and powerful. And just enjoy, experiment, enjoy. It's all personal. Taste, and do what works for you.
It was just the Rodenbach. Claire had Grand Cru, and John has chosen Alexander.
I think I've got.
I mean, John's chosen Blind Pig, which he thinks is the best of theirs. But we have Pliny the Younger and Pliny the Elder.
You can't get hold of the elder, and you can't even get hold of the younger in the States. So
Yeah, the younger is even harder.
You've got to queue up overnight outside the brewery to get it. So.
But to be honest, we can't get hold of the Blind Pig in the UK either. Can't get hold of any of those Russian rivers in the UK.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're fantastic beers, but whether they warrant 3
Taras
spots on
Bulba.
beers, because they're beers we can't get hold of.
Are you okay for him
They
to
are
do
so
that?
We need to put one for sure.
I'll put Pliny the Elder because if you've
I
got a
think-
friend in the States, they can buy some and bring it over for you.
And that's the most famous
available.
Yes, I did, but I can't get a sample. I can't get hold of a sample, so I can't write about it really.
Claire, Roger, and Johnny, then, and you yourself. So
Presumably we're all in the same boat that we all can't get. None of us can get hold of a sample.
I
Unless
will
Roger,
be in
you
the States
can,
next month,
you
so I can try
wank
then.
or something.
Yeah, I will be in the States next month for Christmas, so I could try potentially. But I'm also happy to bring it over for someone else if I can.
we've already discussed Schlenkerla. John's also chosen the Helles. The Schneider Aventinus. Joe is fairly insistent on.
That's another close to my heart one, but he probably has the continental advantage there, so that's fine.
Taras Bulba. You okay for him to do that?
Yeah.
We have Celebration, Kellerweiss, and Pale Ale.
Was the beer that started the American craft beer revolution. It's absolutely iconic. 1980. It was the first of its kind, so I think that warrants a place in the book. But then Celebration, I think, is also
I think Celebration over Kellerweiss personally.
John thought that was a really interesting choice.
Yeah.
John does Kellerweiss and Claire does Celebration, and I do Pale Ale.
Yeah.
Okay.
St. Bernardus 12.
I wouldn't fight over it actually. I love that beer, but I'm happy to forfeit.
We've got 2 alchemists.
It goes best with any sociable activity. I mean, those of us who make a living from beer, we tend to focus on the beer itself. But the reason beer has been around since the dawn of civilization, the reason it's kind of everywhere in the world, is that nothing quite facilitates interaction between people in a meaningful way than beer does. And beer is often the prop, it's the instigator, it's the catalyst that creates really brilliant social events. So beer basically goes best with your mates.
Fantastic. Thanks very much.
I can't get a sample, so
That's one I could potentially get on the East Coast.
John is quite keen to do a Focal Banger, I think. So it's whether it warrants 2 beers, because we can't get them in the UK.
You need to lose some anyway, Lottie.
Fair enough. I've got 2 stone. I'm querying whether I actually put either of those 2 stone in, because I don't know if they really warrant their place as one of the top 250 beers in the world. So I'm happy to relinquish Heady Topper for sure. Maybe just do one from the Alchemist.
Good to know. Both do feel really
I mean,
important to me.
they are very important beers, but I'm going to struggle to sample Heady Topper unless they actually send them anywhere, which I doubt.
Got a few Thornbridges now. We've got Emma's chosen 4 Thornbridges. Obviously, you should do Jaipur.
Yeah, that's one of my.
You have to do that.
Yeah.
It need to be one from Days of Creation, Mother's Ruin, and Necessary Evil. I'll leave it to her to.
Should be necessary.
Interesting. Timothy Taylor's Landlord. So,
I'll give way on that because I'm doing Harvest, aren't I?
I said that Johnny could do an Etike Pivo 10. There, is that okay?
That's absolutely fine.
We've got 2 Utopian. Oh, we've got 3 Utopians. We've got Maybach, British Lager, and 10 Degrees.
I think they merit 2, but not 3.
Yeah. Quite a new brewery.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, actually, we've got 3 verdants. I mean, I think from what limited knowledge, even Sharps Need Water should probably be in there. But Emma's chosen Bloom and Pulp.
Hope should go in.
Probably, yeah.
Can you tell us, can you remember the first beer you ever had?
I can. It sticks in my memory. It was so delicious. It was from a brewery in the East End of London, Charrington's Brewery in the Mile End Road, and their IPA was absolutely delicious. Sadly, bought and closed down by Bass.